Welcome everyone to Kaifun's Cove. I am the foolishly extraordinary Kaifun, and today I'd like to take you on a retrospective look at Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. See what makes this game's story and characters so familiar, but also so different. Join me in speculating, dare I say dreaming, of what we want brought to the Star Wars universe by sharing your thoughts on the confirmed sequel down below. A word of caution, I will be spoiling the story of this game, so if you don't like spoilers or haven't finished the game, you might want to get on that first. Now, without further ado, let's board this retrospective and make the jump into hyperspace. Our story begins with honestly one of the best non-scroll beginnings in the franchise in my opinion. We're shown a planet of scrappers called Bracca, and with amazing visuals that immediately let you know not only is this a galaxy ravaged by war, but also one that's proud of all the Star Wars history that's come before. We're shown Star Wars elements from the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, even shows like the Clone Wars and Rebels. All this capped off by an amazing opening song that honestly makes me want to spend the whole game listening to it. 5 years after the conclusion of the Great Jedi Purge, we're introduced to our protagonist, Cal Kestis, as well as his friend and fellow scrapper, Prof, as they are tasked with a dangerous job for the promise of more pay. As the pair makes their way up the precarious wreckage of the crashed AGR warships, Cal uses his extraordinary agility and mastery of the standing slide to complete his task. Meeting up with Prof, the two come across a crashed Jedi starfighter, unaware of the doom about to befall them. As the supporting cable snaps, the pair is flung downward, sliding off the piece of wreckage they were on toward the waiting maw of the Starlight Pit below. Revealing himself to be a former Jedi Padawan, Cal reaches out with the Force in order to slow Prof's descent, and ensuring he lands on the scrapper transport. Jumping down and joining his friend, the pair make it safely to the ground. Prof questioning Cal about his powers, and Cal begging Prof to drop it. The two board the transport, and Cal begins planning how he's going to leave the planet. Cal, after falling asleep, is given a vision of his master, telling him to trust only in the Force, awakening suddenly as the transport is stopped and boarded by Imperial stormtroopers. The occupants are forced to line up outside. The group is descended upon by two members of the Galactic Empire's Inquisitorius, Second and Ninth Sisters. A Second Sister reveals that they know someone in the group is a member of the Jedi Order, and that if they don't reveal themselves, then they will kill everyone. Prof steps up, and telling Cal it's okay, begins lamenting the Empire's presence that turned them from engineers into scrappers, exclaiming that the Empire considers them all expendable. Second Sister, agreeing with him, steps forward and stabs Prof in the gut with her crimson lightsaber, killing him. Cal, enraged by the loss of his friend, attacks and is quickly overpowered and tossed from the platform. As Cal fights his way through Imperial forces, he is eventually joined by a mysterious woman on a strange ship telling him to keep going. Once again, coming against Second Sister, enraged for her killing of Prof, Cal prepares to fight once more. As Second Sister toys with Cal, the strange ship appears and blasts the Inquisitor away, the mysterious woman beckoning him to join her. As Cal jumps into the ship, Second Sister is biting at his heels, unable to stop the ship from escaping, however. On board, you are formally introduced to Seer Junda, a former member of the Jedi Order, as well as her pilot and captain of the Mantis, Grease Dritus. The trio make their way to an uncharted planet called Bogano, discovered by a Jedi friend of Seer's before the Purge. As they land, Seer instructs Cal to make his way to a large temple-like structure in the distance, and that there is someone she wants him to meet. As Cal finds a place to meditate, he opens his eyes to find he is no longer alone, joined by a small droid who introduces itself as BD-1. As Cal and BD-1 make their way to the vault, they learn more about the world they're on thanks to Cal's gift of psychometry as well as BD-1's ability to scan things. On top of that, Cal encounters a flashback under his training with his former master, Jarl T'Pol, and it helps him unlock more of his sealed-away potential. As the pair arrives at the vault and gain entry, BD-1 plays back a message from Jedi Master Eno Cordova. Cal finally learns the secret that Eno hid in the vault before the Great Jedi Purge, a list of Force-sensitive children scattered across the galaxy contained in a Jedi holocron. Cal, learning that it was the Zepho who built the vault, takes his new companion and returns to the Mantis, understanding now that it was BD-1 Cal was sent here to meet all along. The crew head out and make their way to the Zepho homeworld. With Grease showing off his spectacular piloting ability, the Mantis is able to land on the surface of Zepho, despite a raging storm. Making his way to the Empire's excavation site, Cal encounters steady resistance from Imperial troopers, as well as local flora and fauna. Making his way into the temple at the excavation site, Cal and BD-1 contend with both more enemies and more puzzles. Dealing with the temple guardians, left by the Zepho, the pair uncover that Eno had traced the key to the vault to the origin tree on the planet of Kashyyyk, and sought help from his old friend, Tarful, chieftain of the Wookiees. Returning to the Mantis, only to find it under attack from an Imperial AT-ST walker, Cal springs into action. Testing his saber skills and force prowess, Cal eventually brings down the walker and finishes off its pilot. Telling Seer what he learned, the party heads to Kashyyyk, much to Grease's dismay, as it has become a hotbed for Imperial conquest. The Mantis drops back into normal space to find the surface of Kashyyyk under Imperial assault. Not wanting to miss an opportunity to assist the rebel forces, however, Cal jumps from the ship. As Grease pilots the Mantis out of range of the Imperial AT-ATs, Cal begins his ascent, commandeering a walker and using it to blast his way through the Imperial forces. Meeting along the way the man leading the rebels in this fight, Saw Gerrera. After bringing down the other walkers and meeting face to face, he tasks Cal with freeing the captured rebels and Wookiees trapped in a nearby prison. Agreeing, when Saw offers to help locate Tarful, Cal and BD-1 head out. Fighting their way through more Imperials and encountering more flashbacks, the pair finally free the Wookiees and retake the area, returning to Saw to find Cere and Grease waiting for him. Cal is informed the Empire has uncovered a new dig site on Zeffo, and that they should check it out while the rebels search for Tarful. Returning to Zeffo, Cal and BD-1 make their way to the newly opened site, only to find Second Sister waiting for them, a fight ensuing. Though Cal puts up a valiant effort, he is easily outmatched, surviving only thanks to the assistance and quick thinking of BD-1. Not satisfied with merely beating Cal, Second Sister reveals herself to be Trilla, Cere's former Padawan learner, and the reason that she was captured by the Empire was because Cere sold her and other younglings out. Trilla tells a disbelieving Cal how when they brought what they had made her into before Cere lashed out with the dark side of the Force, and that is how she freed herself and why she cut herself off from the Force, and that like her, Cere will betray him as well. Fleeing, the pair uncover that they require an ancient Zeffo artifact called an Astrium in order to unlock the Vault of Megano. Unfortunately, before Cal is able to relay this information to the Mantis, he is captured by the Haxian brood. Awakening and forced into gladiatorial combat, Cal comes to learn he is now one of Sorc Tormo's gladiators thanks to Grease's large debt owed to the brood. Cal, proving himself formidable, is able to fight off his opponents before being rescued by the Mantis. Hurt by Cere's lies and just wanting to continue the mission, Cal is happy to learn that the rebels on Kashyyyk have sent word that Tarful has been located. After a pep talk from Grease that makes Cal feel a little better, the Mantis returns to a rebel base on Kashyyyk only to find it in shambles, having been attacked by Imperial forces. Cal makes his way deep into the forest and eventually finds Tarful and a remaining handful of rebels. Saw, having retreated off-world with a majority of the forces after the base fell, leaving the Wookiees to their fate. Beginning their climb up the origin tree, Cal and BD-1 contend with more of Kashyyyk's wildlife, as well as more troopers. Now, thanks to the assistance of the legendary Shield Bird, Cal and BD-1 are able to arrive at the top of the canopy, not only finding the means to repair his master's saber, but also learning that an Astrium awaits them in a Zeffo tomb on Dathomir. Coming under attack by Ninth Sister, however, Cal is forced to prove himself once more, this time rising to the challenge, taking off one of the Inquisitor's hands before blasting her from the tree. Returning to the Mantis, the group sets their sights on Dathomir. Arriving on the hostile world of Dathomir, with the dark side of the Force permeating the very air around them, Cal and BD-1 head out in search of the Astrium. As they near the outskirts of the local village, the pair comes across a mysterious wanderer. After parting ways with the mystery man, Cal and BD-1 head further into the village, only to be stopped once more. This time, by Night Sister Merrin, leader of the village and the last remaining Night Sister in all of Dathomir. She warns Cal to leave her world before sending the Night Brothers after him. Cal, undeterred, fights his way through the warriors, eventually facing off against the Gorgara. With BD-1's wits and Cal's skills, they are able to bring down the beast, and upon leaving the village and entering the tomb, Cal once again relives that fateful day 5 years ago, during the Great Jedi Purge. Awakening from his meditation, Cal is greeted by the visage of his deceased master, drawing out Cal's anger and coaxing him into striking him down. Yaro Tapal grabs hold of his old lightsaber and crushes it in Cal's hands. Cal, freed from the vision, feels just as broken as his master's saber. Fleeing for the safety of the Mantis, the pair is stopped once more by the mysterious wanderer, revealing himself to be Terran Malakos, a Jedi corrupted by the dark side. He tries to convince Cal that power is what he needs, and if Cal joins him, he will show him how to obtain that power. Refusing, but unable to fight back, Cal is surprised when Night Sister Merrin comes to his aid. Resurrecting the long-dead bodies of her slain Night Sisters, she begins her assault against Malakos. Cal doesn't miss a chance to escape, returning to the Mantis defeated and lost. Cere coming to his aid, reminding him that a Jedi isn't a lightsaber. Not willing to give up, Cal and the group set their sights on Ilum to retrieve a new Kyber crystal and repair his lightsaber. Landing on the planet's surface, Cere gives Cal her old lightsaber and some words of encouragement before sending him on his way to find the Kyber that calls to him. Journeying deeper into the planet and recalling the last time he was here as a youngling, Cal is eventually separated from BD-1. Trapped and alone, Cal must save himself. Quite literally, as a young version of Cal appears and leads the way to a Kyber crystal. After taking it in his hand, Cal is dismayed when it breaks in the tube before his eyes. Alone once again, with only his failure to keep him company. "Failure is not the end," are the words spoken by Eno Cordova to BD-1, played back now from BD-1 to Cal, showing him that this little droid sacrificed everything, trusting in the Force that one day he would find someone to complete his former master's wishes, to restore his memories and save him from being alone. Cal, embracing BD-1 and trusting in the Force, is able to use the Kyber shards, along with the lightsabers of Yara Tapal and Seer Junda, to forge his own double-bladed split lightsaber. Returning to the Mantis once more, Cal is ready to face Dathomir and retrieve the Astrium. After landing and returning to the tomb, Cal is once again greeted by his enraged master. Not giving into the feelings of failure he felt last time, Cal passes the test and is allowed to continue forward. As he enters the tomb, Cal is greeted by Night Sister Marin. Unwilling to fight her, Cal hands over his saber, wanting to prove himself different than the perception the sister has of the Jedi. Curious, Marin returns his saber, allowing him to pass, saying only that she will be watching. As Cal enters the inner sanctum, he is met by Terran Malicos, who tries his hand at seducing Cal with more promises of power. Still unwilling, the two engage in battle, finally ending when Marin descends upon the pair and uses her powers to bury Malicos alive. As Cal retrieves the Astrium, the two strangers bond over the feelings of possibly being the last of their respective kinds. Marin makes the decision to join Cal on his quest to the galaxy, and the new allies return to the Mantis, the group heading back to Bogano to finally open the vault. The Mantis sets back down on Bogano, and after such a long journey, the group shares their feelings of finally being here again. Cal and BD-1 make their way to the vault and place the Astrium. The vault finally begins to open, and Cal is presented with a smooth glass surface. Reaching out for it, he is greeted with visions showing him finding the Jedi Holocron and tracking down the Force-sensitive children, teaching them the ways of the Jedi. The vision continues, and Cal is shown his new Jedi Order coming under attack from the Empire. Unable to help the younglings as they scream for him, Cal presses on, eventually being shown the imprisoned younglings being tortured, and after being trapped in the dark, he ignites his lightsaber. Bursting forth crimson blades and bathing the room in a red glow, Cal views himself as an Inquisitor. Standing before himself, Cal pushes with the Force, cracking the glass surface, turning to find the Jedi Holocron waiting for him in the center of the room. As Cal reaches for it, he stops, sensing that he and BD-1 are not alone. Trilla appears and takes up arms against Cal. This time it's different, however, as she finds herself defeated and disarmed. Calling her blade to him, Cal is suddenly overcome with a powerful Force vision. Leaving him to it, Trilla takes the Jedi Holocron and retreats. Viewing things through Trilla's eyes, Cal relives the events of Trilla's torture and the turn to the dark side, even seeing Seer lash out with anger and rage when presented with what the Empire had done to her. Recovering and heading back to the Mantis, Cal hands over Trilla's saber to Seer, relaying what happened and apologizing to her for not being able to understand what she was going through. Seer, filled with hope for the first time in a long time, tells Cal not to give up as the group takes off, making their way to Trilla and the Jedi Holocron, now being kept securely in the bowels of the Fortress Inquisitorius on the world of Nur. As the Mantis drops back into normal space, it falls to Marin to use her Night Sister Force magics to conceal the ship, allowing Cal and Seer time to drop pod to the surface and make their way into the fortress. Cal and BD-1 head out in search of the Holocron, while Seer makes her way to drop the defense grid so they can make their escape later. As Cal fights his way through the fortress, even getting a chance to watch as Seer shows off her own talents, they eventually make their way to the interrogation room. As Cal reaches for the Holocron, he is once again met by Trilla, one final fight ensuing between the two. After finally defeating her once more, Seer joins them, trying desperately to reach her lost apprentice, and seeming to make headway. However, before Trilla can do anything, a shadow descends upon the group. None other than the Dark Lord of the Sith himself, Darth Vader. Chastising the failure of his Inquisitor and cutting her down, Trilla's last words being "Avenge us," Seer charges Vader, telling Cal to run, only to be tossed aside to her doom as if she was nothing. Cal, now running for his life, makes his way through a landscape twisted and broken by the Force powers of Vader, rushing down a hallway only to have the doors at the end open to reveal the Dark Lord waiting. Cal puts up a fight, but is easily overpowered, but as Vader approaches, Seer once again joins the fray. Despite the 2-on-1 scenario, Vader proves too much for them, but Cal smashes the glass of the hallway, pulling Seer into the water and leaving Vader to contend with the ocean flooding in on him. Swimming to the surface, the Mantis appears once more and Marin jumps in to rescue her two companions. Safely aboard the Mantis, the group takes off, fleeing the planet, victorious in their mission. Cal, realizing that they should trust the destinies of those on the list to the will of the Force, destroys the Holocron. Standing side by side with his new family, the game ends with Cal giving us the definitive quote of the game. Well, where to now? Upon completion of the game, I'm honestly left with feelings I haven't felt in a long time. Playing this game brought me back to seeing Star Wars as a kid. There's always been such a huge part of these movies that the sense of adventure is played. The feeling of going on a quest, of working towards completing the mission. And while the movies now sometimes seem hindered by the 3-act structure, Jedi Fallen Order seems intent on capturing that sense of adventure that truly defined A New Hope. That is, that it can be epic, but can easily stand alone as a great piece of art by itself. But it begs you to want more of it. And that for this, it's only the beginning. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order's story is a beautiful harmony of adventure, loss, suffering, failure, and the Star Wars classic, redemption. A harmony that could almost seem chaotic at times, but is perfectly balanced to deliver an experience that truly feels worthy of the Star Wars title. Expanding on the canon to new heights, while still respecting and glorifying what came before, the perfect way to explain this is right when you load up the game. You are first greeted with the new dark side logo, EA, which can spell doom nowadays, but at the same time you're greeted by music when EA plays that is that distinct John Williams Star Wars music, you know? Bringing up feelings of what you're about to experience, reminding you that this is Star Wars. Then immediately, when you start the game, you are bombarded with music that is new. Music that sucks you in, that sets a pace for what you're about to experience, but also isn't what you'd expect. Echoing not simply what led me to naming this piece what I did, but also the beginning of the movies themselves. All set to visuals, to things that are Star Wars, ships and droids from the originals, the prequels, the sequels. You're left with not just knowing you're in a galaxy far, far away, but also when you are as well. And you're just not sure what to expect. That right there, that is what Star Wars has been missing. I chose to call this piece Far, Far Away because I've heard fans say they might be over Star Wars, that there's too much of it now and that Disney doesn't know what to do with it. In truth, I feel all Disney needs to do is to embrace what the fans say they want, for things to be new and fresh, but the way to do that isn't to take Star Wars somewhere new. Rather, bring new ideas and take them far, far away. Take things and make them Star Wars, as opposed to taking Star Wars and making it something else. The intro music alone helps prove my point, with Respawn making use of the amazing talent that is The Who, a Mongolian metal band, but also, so too does the overall story of the game's production. Regardless of how this game started out, regardless of what it could have become, it was turned into Star Wars. And by doing so, I feel fans of the franchise have been given what they have been asking for a long time. New, but fresh Star Wars. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has given me hope not only for the films, but once again for the games. In a sequel which has been confirmed, I hope we get to see Cal and Cere join other fan-favorite characters in an adventure that brings us from young Jedi Knight to Jedi Master. Perhaps we'll have a chance to meet Ahsoka Tano during her exile, or perhaps, with the help of Marin, maybe we could meet Maul and explore more about the combining of the light sides and dark sides of the Force. Or maybe even we are given a whole new perspective, playing instead as a member of the Inquisitorius, charged with hunting down Cal and his group. Maybe even we play as Marin and get a chance to explore how the Force feeds into her Night Sister magics. I want more of everything this game did with customization. More lightsaber pieces, more outfits, hell, even character customization would be amazing if they went that route for a new perspective. I feel so excited for Star Wars because of this game that I dare even dream of the two things I've wanted from Star Wars for some time now. First would be the return of Galen Merrick, Darth Vader's secret apprentice, and one of the most powerful Force users in the expanded canon, to the franchise. Second, my one true hope for Star Wars would be the introduction of a droid Force user. I don't mean an Iron Knight. I mean a 100% built from the ground up droid Jedi, or Sith, maybe even belonging to a new faction of Force users, somewhere in between. It's the first time in a long time that I've been so excited, and that I just can't wait to see where they go next. In conclusion, if you're a Star Wars fan, this game's story is for you. Fun, exciting, and with a meaningful impact on the franchise as a whole, this game is an easy recommendation. I can't wait to see what awaits us and the crew of the Mantis in Respawn's sure-to-be excellent sequel. Cal really did say it best. Well, where to now?